so what? And I give an answer and I do another so what. And by the time I get to the fourth or fifth so what, then it is even clearer as to what is really going on. And I think if many of us took more pauses and breaks and breaths to analyze why we feel the way we do, recognize that shadow self that exists, I think a lot of us would not have some of the contentious relationships we do, or the sleepless nights, or, the anxiety that we do, because we could pause and begin to really take the control back and start paying attention and reflecting while it's going on, what's happening. But the other thing that Sean talked about is reflect for action. And that's really about paying attention to how to proceed in the future. So I just gave you an example of that. When I dealt with my frustration, it wasn't just, going off about it anymore. It has been, okay, so why do I feel the way that I do about it? And now I know that when I have those feelings, it is to pause and to pay attention to that, so that in the future, I don't allow those emotions to run crazy and control me. I'm able to sit back and have some level of discernment and control about it. And so reflect for action is so important, because it allows us to have not only a pathway of how we're going to move forward, it gives us some level of control back over the experience, and being able to modify, course correct, change the way that we do things. And one of the things that Sean talks about is framing is so important, because we have to constantly frame and reframe problems, because we only have limited information. It's kind of like I did with my friend. I only had so much information about that situation and why it was bothering me. But when I stepped back and really had a broader view, it allowed me to reframe the situation. And so think of it kind of as an experiment, that we have to constantly be open to looking at problems, reflecting on those problems, and then reframing it and using the knowledge that we have and our experiences, along with the new knowledge that we gain from that, to reflect on our experiences. So again, you want to do reflect on action. You want to do reflect in action, and you want to reflect for action, meaning that not only do I pay attention to what's going on, I'm now equipped to do something about it and move in a different direction. The other thing that's so important for us to be aware of is that when we consider the thoughts and actions that we have, it allows us the freedom to give people permission to do the same thing, because we become aware of how reflective thinking and critical reflection can allow us to continue to improve. So just as we are aware of the experiences that we go through, we can allow other people to live and do things and make decisions, knowing that they may not look the same way that we do, but we recognize our own power, we recognize their power, and we can see this as a tool for us to be better and do better and think better. And the thing about this is that there are so many implications, that when we take the time to create the space to pause and reflect and remember, that it not only impacts us personally, it impacts every aspect of our life, because now we're not just responding at work, or we're not just going off on our kids. We're making this a conscious decision on how we act and how we choose to deal with the stresses that our life is going to have. And just think about it, even though we're walking into this new year, it doesn't mean that we're not going to have more challenges and more surprises and things that we weren't ready for. But with these kinds of tools, when it does happen, we're in a position to be able to say, I got this. And so I think it's also important for us to know that we have to take the time to reflect on ourselves and begin to become more aware of why we do what we do. Why do things bother us the way that they do? That we have to look at things that we see. We have to be aware that there are things like a COVID-19 that we had no control over, and that there are going to be some unanticipated things that we experience in this. We have to be willing to be open to take the time to create the space to deal with those emotions, our feelings and thoughts that come as a result of it. But the other thing that's important for us to do is we have to pay attention to ourself and relationships to other people. We have to pay attention to the various identities and roles that people play in our lives and recognize that just as we are learning, so they are too. And we have to give people permission to do them. They're not going to respond and live in the world in the same way that we do. But as we create these spaces to pour into relationships and leverage relationships, as we create the space for us to reflect and to listen to others and to listen to our innermost thoughts and selves, it allows us to have better, healthier relationships. And then paying attention to how other external factors impact our lives. We would have never again thought that we were going to be going through what we've experienced this year. But being able to pay attention to all the things that are at work, healthcare systems, paying attention to racism and the impact that it's had this year on us, and social injustice. I mean, paying attention to the mental health issues that are coming out of this. We have to begin to see ourselves as a part of a greater system and how those systems also impact our abilities. There are things that we can control, and there are other things that we may not be able to control, but we can influence those things and the way that we interact with them, the way that we advocate and use our voices to change and influence some of those systems that impact our lives and impact the lives of others. And so hopefully as you're thinking about this upcoming year, you're not only thinking about how you take care of you, that you begin to start seeing yourself as an extension of the collective, and that how do you use your power to not only make your life better, but that you're advocating on behalf of others and using the knowledge and the reflection and the experiences that you have to make your life better, the lives of others and your community better. And so I'm hoping that as you move forward in this new year, I know I am, I'm going to start thinking more about how the stories that I have, the narratives that I've listened to really impact my journey, and that you will begin to dig deeper into your own stories, taking the time to reflect, to remember, to look at why you've made the decisions that you've had and use that as a foundation in moving forward for your future. I hope that this upcoming year is one that is wonderful. And even if it is not, know that whatever we face, that we have the power within us and the power collectively and the power with God to change our environment for whatever it is we want it to be. And so don't ever feel hopeless. We all have what we need within us to get through these very challenging times. And so I just want to say thank you as an audience for listening in, for giving, feedback. Some of you have sent emails and told me what it's meant to listen to the stories of other women. And although I didn't dig very deeply into my own on this one, we'll do that a little bit later in some other episodes. But I'm hoping that you see this podcast as an opportunity for you to learn from the voices of others, that their stories, you see yourself reflected in those stories, and that their lessons are opportunities for you to grow, or for it to be affirmation that you are on the right track, girlfriend, and you are doing what you need to do to be the best and brightest that you possibly can be. So thanks again. Looking forward to an amazing 2021 with you. And again, I'm Dr. FROSWA Booker Drew. You can find me at my website at drfroswa.com, and you can email me at info@drfroswa.com. I do respond, and I look forward to having conversations and making connections that we can use to make our world a better place. Thanks again, and I look forward to talking to you on some other episode. I'll go a little deeper then.